one of the farms that we had on, which is the only African-American dairy in North Carolina, told us that if the community didn't get involved to help black farmers, that in 10 years from now we would be having this conversation. The average age of the black farmer is 63 years old, and a lot of the young people are not on the farms. So we have a population now of African Americans in a lot of urban areas that don't feed themselves. We see in our neighborhoods that we have a store in every corner that has high salt content, high fat, diets that are really against us physically, and that's going to cause a lot of health problems for our youth in the future. So when I met Jerry over at African American United Fund, and he talked about his project here, and he asked us, myself and Reggie, to be involved, I was really happy. This is something here that's it's historic. It can change the dynamic of not only this city, but it can be a model for other cities, especially urban areas. The Sustainable Food Project that Jerry's talking about. I want to give you a little overview of the farmer problem. In 1920 was the apex for African American farmers in this country. African American farmers owned over 19 million acres and provided over 14% of the nation's food. Now it's down to 1.5 million acres, and the nation's food they provide is minuscule compared to what they did provide. Around the time of the apex, you had a man like George Washington Carver. Everybody's familiar with what he did with the peanut. But his crop rotation ideas helped save agriculture in this country. A lot of the majority farmers didn't understand the dynamic of farming, which caused the Dust Bowl situation in the 1930s of putting the nutrients back into the soil. He helped save agriculture in this country for the majority farmers. And since then, the African American farm problem has steadily been going down, and there's a lot of factors involved in why. We thought it strange, myself and Reggie, that when we contacted a lot of the southern farmers, that they were more than willing to come to Philadelphia, because we were trying to set up open air markets in our communities around the city. We set up our first in the Shirley Kitchens district in North Philadelphia. And a lot of the farmers came with 24-foot refrigerated trucks full of fresh fruit, organic fruits and vegetables. And we did think it was strange that they would do this, because we would think that they would be able to sell in their own areas. But it's still a lot of institutionalized racism in the farm industry. A lot of the farmers, being that they know a lot of practices to get their food to the markets early, getting your food to the markets a week or even days before another person could mean hundreds or tens of thousands of dollars. But once the majority farmers are prepared to come to market, then a lot of African American farmers are pushed out. They don't get the same prices for their food. The organic certification is quite a bit of money, and the USDA makes sure that you follow the practices to have that organic certification. But most of the African American farmers that are organically certified don't get the same price for their fruits and vegetables as other farms. So we've been working with a lot of southern farmers. We didn't have the means of refrigeration, because if we did, we could really turn things around agriculturally in this city, especially for African American farmers. I'm glad that Brother Jerry talked about the market next door and how there'll be refrigeration and setting up the farmers market. This could really be a dream come true to a lot of farmers. And like I said, change the dynamic of not only Overbrook area in the city of Philadelphia, but it can be historic. But I just want to pass the time to Brother Reggie. Maybe you can throw some things in.
Good morning to everyone.
Good morning.
One of the major things that we found out, I didn't have any interest really in dealing with farming. I've done it. My parents are from the Caribbean, from Guyana, South America, so I was been forced to do, farming when I was young, didn't really like it, didn't have any interest. But as a result of us trying to connect with the farmers, I learned a lot of the history. When you look at being able to sustain and be self-sufficient, if you look at the black farmers in the past, if you had a town that had black lawyers, black bankers, a black economic base, or a town, usually the town was anchored by black farmers, something I didn't know. There's a black banker, black lawyer, they all have to eat. And in order for you to sustain yourself, you need to have viable food in the community. So we took on this project actually by dare. We had someone call into the radio program and told us, just like Jerry's doing, said, you're talking about it, the great vision of what you can do. Why don't you guys go ahead and do something? So we put it together, a plan, got some people in the community to come out, and we see that it's something that could be done. Jerry's vision is actually really necessary and really good because it could be used as a platform that can be done in other states. One of the major problems that African American farmers and small farmers have is that they don't have a viable market, meaning that the community, they don't have communities to go to where people are going to come out and support them, where they can put the produce out, have it sold, where it's feasible for them to come out from such a distance. In Pennsylvania, you don't have any African American farmers. We only found one. They're willing to come out to sell their produce and also to show you different ways that you can do things in the local area to do your own growing, as Jerry's trying to do in this area. One of our passions is to see if we can open up different areas where we can do what Jerry's trying to do, so we can provide jobs for the youth and children. Example would be giving a child or youth, or maybe a grown adult, $100 worth of produce, and then they can have an area where they can come back after they make their first bit of profit, where they can come back and re-up, and they have some place to come to. Most of the produce that you see around the produce junction that's sold around to a lot of senior citizen homes in the community, and stuff that you get off of Delaware Avenue that's been, it's dated fruits and vegetables. By the time it gets into your plate, into your home, it's bad. And that's one of the things that, we're trying to have a good product that's offered to the community, that's healthy, and also viable, and also to do something economically in the local area for our community. So I appreciate, Jerry, what you're trying to do.
A couple other things before we wind up. I just want to read something to you off the Organic Consumers Association website in reference to African American farmers. And a comment that John Boyd made. This is the oldest occupation in history for black people, and it's going to be the first to go extinct, said John Boyd, president of the National Black Farmers Association. We are an endangered species. We know historically that the understanding of agriculture was brought here by our ancestors when we came here as chattel slaves. And we taught, along with the American Indians, Europeans how to farm. A lot of crops that are native to the continent of Africa, yams, black-eyed peas, a lot of different things that are native crops, rice especially, that are native crops in the continent were brought here, and the understanding to cultivate these things were brought here by our people. We can't let this die. This is part of something that we can pass to our children. Something that our people had and were proud of, and it's our obligation to really stand and help these farmers. They helped our people during the Civil Rights Movement. Dr. King was totally aware of it, and it's our obligation now to do something to help them. We see that the numbers are dwindling in a lot of states for African American farmers. This lawsuit that had been approved in 1999 has just got signed by President Obama on December the 8th to give black farmers $50,000 a piece out of that $3.5 billion settlement. But it was a lot of wrangling back and forth about these funds. And a lot of the farmers, even though they're supposed to get the money, they're really dissatisfied in how it's going to be dispersed, because a lot of the farmers that was in the initial suit, keep in mind that, like I said before, a lot of the average age for African American farmers is 63. A lot of the farmers that was initially in the Pickford lawsuit are gone, some of them. If there is an heir property, or maybe their son or daughter or even nephew or niece that have taken over the farm, they can't get the money. The farmer that was involved in the lawsuit has to get the money. So it's a lot of, even though the lawsuit was, the settlement was approved, there's still a lot of red tape and foolishness involved with paying the men their money. But in the interim, we can't stop. Myself and Reggie, we've been putting these farmers markets in a lot of the urban communities, because they've been targeted as food deserts. And it's kind of ironic that a lot of our neighborhoods have that label of food desert, and you have African American farmers that have food and can't get it to these markets. So I feel as though we have an obligation to do something. That's why I'm so happy that Reggie and the group here, that Jerry and the group here is involved in some type of project of sustainable foods. That's all I wanted to talk about. If there are any questions or anything dealing with what we're doing. Yes?
So there's no black farmers in Pennsylvania?
Well, there are a couple that we were aware of. They were small farmers. And when I say small, they didn't have the volume if we were to bring them down to service the community. Because a lot of times we would get on WURD and let the community know that the farmers were coming, and the people would come out in numbers. And a lot of the farmers, we would have to team them with other southern farmers so they could at least have the volume. We weren't aware of any that had the volume needed to sustain a market.
Yes, under the present economy and with the wave of foreclosures that are hitting the nation, how many farmers are facing foreclosure of their land that they may have run through generations, and what kind of prevention is being put in place to prevent our hope?
Well, it's a lot of them facing foreclosure because of what's going on in the economy now. We went to a black farmers and landowners meeting in Raleigh in April, I think, last April, and heard some of the horror stories that were associated with African American farmers even losing their land. One of the things I want to mention to you, and it's off the American Farmland Trust website, and it lists 5 reasons why the causes of black farm land loss. And the first one it mentions is uncertainty about the future. The second one is lack of matching funds. The third one is hesitancy to sign contracts with whites regarding land use, which a lot of it is going on. If a farmer can't put all of his land into production, we talked to several farmers that might own a couple of 100 acres of land, but only maybe 20 acres is in production, because they can't afford to put all of the land into production because they might not be able to sell the food. So they would turn around and lease their land to majority farmers to help them get food to the market. And a lot of it resulted in them losing their land. The fourth is historical mistrust of the USDA. Well, we know that's what that Pickford lawsuit came from. The fifth one here is interesting. It's air property and fraction title. After several generations, the African American tradition of dividing ownership equally, passing down without a will, has resulted in highly fractured land ownership, which makes land loss subject to partition sale. What we found out down there that if you had an older person that had passed, and you find that a lot of African Americans that are in New York, Philadelphia, Baltimore, during the Great Migration, they came up from Virginia, North Carolina, South Carolina. Just as in Chicago and Cleveland, you had blacks that came up from Alabama, Mississippi, Tennessee. And blacks out in California went there from Louisiana and Texas. So we had migration patterns during the Great Migration. But you find that a lot of the ones here that had older folks that still stayed on the land, if they had 2 or 3 sons and 3 or 4 daughters, they would partition it off, just like it says here. But they had which we found out, they had 4 sales of land that was going on wholesale in the state of North Carolina, where they would go to, just say, Jerry, myself, and Reggie, our father owned land, and we all came north. I've been paying taxes on the land. And Reggie and Jerry haven't been doing anything to contribute. They would find that, especially if it was land that was wanted by either a farmer or somebody, a developer, they would find out who owns the land and then go to each one of us. They talk with Jerry. Jerry hasn't been paying any taxes. And if he sees that he can make money, he'll be willing to sell. Reggie also. I know that my daddy wanted me to keep the land, so I've been paying taxes on it. They would force a sale of the land, even though his taxes have been paid on it, because the land is in the fraction title. So it was a lot of ways that was directly targeted. And the truth is the light, it was directly targeted into taking black folks' land. So, you know, it's a lot of things that we can try to correct now. That's why I'm so happy that Jerry is doing what he's doing, because we can really change the dynamic of the city, and it's historic, believe me. I do agree with what the gentleman said here. What Jerry is doing here is historic.
Okay, thank you.